have been a number of reports regarding dysfunction and discord in Cleveland. The latest, one report that Jarvis Landry was yelling to the Arizona sideline, "Come get me," a reference to wanting to leave Cleveland. He was also caught in a verbal spat with first-year coach Freddie Kitchens on cameras over the weekend. Here's Landry on what's going on exactly in Cleveland.
I would never say nothing like that, and I don't even want to talk about it. I don't feel like I didn't feel like I had to address it. I think that the passion and the team I play for, that they trust and know my heart and know that I'm in this, and I would never look to another team during a game, especially that we're losing, and say, "Come get me," with a worse record than we have. Like, it's all about clicks now, and I get it, but at the end of the day, like, don't try to slander my name, or if you didn't hear me say it directly, you shouldn't have to be able to report about it.
Odell Beckham Jr. has also said there's much ado about nothing in response to some reported ambiguity regarding his own future in Cleveland. OBJ doubled down on his desire to stay put.
It's done. It's old. Like, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here. We're going to figure this thing out. It's just too special to leave. We're going to be here. We're going to do it again, and we're going to be, what we felt like we should have been, and correct all the little, mistakes and all the if we would have did this games, and it's just too good. I didn't buy a house here to sell it.
Well, again, all of this can be cured. We talked about the Cowboys. It's really true with Cleveland with winning, but that's been few and far between in some regards, Josina. And you've done a lot of reporting on this, and you've spoken to OBJ. Where do they stand right now?
In terms of OBJ and the team?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you're getting from a player who realizes everything that he has to gain from that situation. As hard as it has been, as challenging it has been, this is a team that 2 years ago was 0-16 and 8-7-1 or 7-8-1, last year, and still has the opportunity to be 8-8 at the end of this year. You're in a situation where you're playing with your best friend, which is a lifetime dream for him. He always talks about that. And then obviously, too, you have a young nucleus that, when talking to Brown sources, and we mentioned this yesterday, that they still believe that with, a third draft, with their GM right now, they potentially could be a 10-plus win team. And look, even if for some reason the Browns, and this would have fell apart, and you go to another team, there's no guarantee you get to play with Tom Brady or Jimmy or Garoppolo, what have you, that quarterback stays healthy, that you stay healthy. And then what happens? So for a player who's so concerned and always talks to me about how much his legacy is important in this game, simply because he appreciates the history of the game. Obviously, team goals are right there, and then that after that. But you could really have a risk of tarnishing that if you went to a third team and then that doesn't work out. And then now you're just bouncing around the league. So I think what you're seeing from Odell is a player who has taken stock, taken some time to reflect after all these headlines, and realizing what's good about where he is, and that the green is not always, the grass is not always green, or the green is not always grassier on the other side, too.
However you want to put it, both of them work. And by the way, both are absolutely accurate,
Right.
and it all makes sense. It was hectic getting there.
Yeah.
To your point yesterday, he didn't arrive by his own volition. It was a trade.
Yeah.
And so things are chaotic, and you guys know this, and he's had time to sort of say, okay, it hasn't gone like I'd hoped, but that doesn't necessarily mean it can't get better.
Yeah, and I think Odell's really looking at this now, and Jarvis as well, and I know they're looking at it like, we want some stability. We don't want to be shuffled around the league every year. We're not chasing a ring or chasing this quarterback or that quarterback. We got a pretty good one here in Cleveland. They believe in him. Let's just build on what we have so far, create some stability here in Cleveland, and kind of grow on that. You gotta allow teams to grow somewhat. And they have such, like you said, Jojo, they have such a young nucleus. Who knows what they could be next year and the year after that, after two good drafts. They could be a team that's, like you said, a 10-win team in the hunt every year, year after year. Don't just let 1 year dictate what you feel like the rest of your tenure could be at that respective team. He has to understand that, and I think he does. I'm not saying he doesn't. I think he understands that. I think he wants that stability with this team and be able to grow with them. And playing with Jarvis, playing with your best friend, you don't get that opportunity.
You can't replicate that, I would assume,
that.
if that's something that you've always wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think that as a player, sometimes you realize I have a certain amount of years that are numbered, and as they start to go, you look back like, okay, that one was lost to injury. This one didn't work out because of the chemistry with maybe the quarterback or maybe the offensive coordinator, maybe other guys that are around me. So you start to think like, I only have so many bites of the apple left. And a lot of guys might become impatient and just say, look, I want to go to the best pocket style quarterback to where I can have the best opportunity to catch the most balls, like a Julio Jones or somebody with Matty Ice, to where you're like, wow, look at that. That guy's a great quarterback and he's a great receiver. And I think I'm better than that. I think I could do that. So sometimes guys get caught up in that and they want to do that now. I want to do that now. But so it takes time and patience with a young quarterback in a new system with a new regime of people that are coming in to try and start up a new culture, and it doesn't happen instantly.
Victor, did we misinterpret, or could Jarvis Landry's comments have been misinterpreted?
Yeah, the whole come and get me thing. Like and Rob, you know this. You hear that, right? I hear that all the time. When I was playing, I obviously heard that all the time. And that come get me is typical, and it could be misconstrued. I don't think Jarvis doesn't strike me as a guy. I mean, he's the one that wanted Odell to come with him to Cleveland. So for him to go around and say, come get me, I don't see that being something that he would do or he would say, because it doesn't seem like he wants to be out of Cleveland. He was the biggest advocate for Odell to come to Cleveland, to have a good team, for that, you know, building that nucleus. If you go back to if you even go back to Hard Knocks, I remember that vision of him standing up in the meeting room being like, this is a team that's known for losing, and that has got to stop now. So for him to build that type of leadership there at such, you know, a finite time, you don't think he's going to go around and saying, come get me, come get me. Even though we hear that a lot, I don't think Jarvis is the one.
Arizona weather's nice, you know.
Yeah, Arizona weather's great. Maybe he said, come get me after the game and we'll drive around.
Yeah, that's
get at me.
We'll drive.
You know, I think that's what he meant.
And I just want to say that, you know, Brown Swords kind of said this to me a couple of days ago, too. He said, you know, we have to realize that there are certain players on this team who came from other teams and that have been on multiple teams, and that they need to be honest with themselves as to why that's the case. And so when you do that, it's like, do you want to keep having adversity, or do you want to now learn from that adversity, harness that adversity, and then make it into something so that, you know, the sun can rise in Cleveland, so to speak? You know what I'm saying?
I got 2 words for everybody in Cleveland in that locker room on that team: buy in.
Buy in, yeah, lean in, buy in. It makes sense.
And then you won't worry about this. These things won't come out of the Cleveland Browns camp once everyone buys into the culture and the regime and the coaching that is set before them.
And don't forget, they've had crucial injuries and things that are unforced too, with Myles Garrett, Olivier Vernon, Morgan Burnett. Some of those. I mean, Morgan Burnett was having his best game of the year when, you know, against the Steelers. So those pieces are back. Ugh, you never.
We're talking about a team also, by the way, who's still building and could be 8-8. You know, I feel like we set the bar pretty exceptionally high. I'm not,
take the blame.
Yeah, you know, blame us.
Speak for yourself.
That's an
Put
easy
your hand
one.
down, or leave it up. We'll put ours down.
I had them 10 wins this year.
You had him 10 wins? Okay, Blake.